Hi guys, as Di would say. My name is KHANYA Mentoor, and I'd just like to take you through, I'd like to just have a conversation with you guys about the importance of telling our own African stories, right? And I've just named that a form of reflection. Right, so let's start off, since it's the last session, right, let's just get interactive. By a show of hands, who here has seen the infamous Black Panther movie? Right? So if you're sitting next to a person who didn't raise their hand, please give them a hug, because clearly that person has been living under a rock. I'm kidding. So Black Panther, yes, it's such a big movie that came out this year. It's a film directed by Ryan Coogler and written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Cole, and it's based on the Marvel comic character of the same name. So it is the 18th film installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So now, like I mentioned, it was a really big, it's been a big film of this year, right? And it's been super successful. So an example of its success is that it's collected $25.2 million at the US box officing on February the 15th, which made it not only double Deadpool's previous February preview record of $12.7 million, but it also then became one of the highest grossing previews ever for a superhero movie, right? And furthermore, what's I'm getting to, that the importance of it is that it's the first superhero movie to have a black protagonist and feature a black director, and primarily a black African or black cast as well. And looking at the success of it here back home, it had nearly 200,000 attendances for the 3-day opening that weekend from the 16th to the 18th. And it ranked up 16.8 million at the South African box office, making it the third biggest industry opening weekend in South Africa. And once it was released, and when it made 77.6 million rand, it then became, here in South Africa, an all-time top-grossing film. And once it broke that record, South Africa then joined the East and the West of Africa in claiming Black Panther as the highest grossing film ever in all of those regions. Right? So it has been a really super big movie. And you know, I thought about it as I was thinking about this topic, and I thought, I'm sure some of us, well, I know I've done it, I thought to myself, what is it that makes this film such a huge phenomenon, right? Because it's been everywhere. It's been in Twitter, it's been trending. And yes, you'll get some people who say, oh no, it's just a Marvel movie. Marvel movies are blockbusters, right? They're prone to do well and break records. But then you do get some of us who recognize it's the fact that it is more than just a Marvel movie, and that it's the fact that it's the people who've made it more than a movie. It's what the movie has represented for the people, right? So it's the fact that, looking at it in terms of as an African, it is, this is my personal view, right? Disclaimer, I'm not saying this is the law, this is just me as KHANYA. This is my opinion. For me, it's the fact that it's our continent with visual representations of our cultures and our languages that are being portrayed and emphasized on a global scale. You know, it makes me so proud. Like, I feel really proud. I feel like, as well as, you know, if you know, take a note that Wakanda's official language is Xhosa. You know, I feel super proud. Yes, I see that head. Yes, girl. It is that. You know, it's this representation, and that is what has made it really become such a phenomenon. And people have took on this movie, you know. People, when they went to the movies, they were dressed in their traditional attire. As you can see, that's the South African premiere that happened here. And we were all taking photos with our squad, you know, getting so excited to watch Black Panther. I'm pretty sure there's some of us, we all did that. And what I found is that, also, let me not forget, you know, with Black Panther, we all know the symbol, the Wakanda forever, has become such a thing. And what I also actually found when I was looking at this film is the fact that it was trending, right? And one thing that I saw is that this hashtag, which was hashtag what Black Panther means to me, and I'd just like to read off one example. I don't know if I'm able to move. It says, my 7-year-old grandson exclaimed, superheroes can be brown people too. All right? Take a moment to actually think about that. And so we have that in your mind, right? So as I was doing research as well, just on Black Panther and like more about representation and what has made it successful, I found that there's this thing called RES, which is racial ethnic socialization, and I'll explain what it means through making an example how it occurs in Black Panther. So it occurs in Black Panther through the fact that the movie provides many educational moments that can help understand society and inspire hope for a brighter future for Black people. Right, so and the benefits of having RES is the fact that it offers a strong sense of self that then can help combat racism and discrimination. And and a clear example is the fact that her grandson was able to now feel proud and relate and feel motivated by seeing a superhero that looks like him. And we're thinking about, okay, yes, Black Panther obviously is a great example of representation, but at the heart of its success, I also actually found out, or at least that's what I think, it's the fact that it's part of this grand movement called Afrofuturism. Right, so let's enter Afrofuturism. I really like that. I was so glad I found that image. Right, so with Afrofuturism, what it really is, it's work that reimagines the Black experience through the fusion of science fiction, fantasy, and history. So let me just break it down, really. What it basically is, it's retelling the story of, an example is, it's like, if you had to retell the story of trade slaves, then you would, for Afrofuturism, you would then describe that through a tale of alien abduction, right? Which I found like it was quite cool. And just doing research on this whole movement, I found that actually as a new age creative, I would firmly believe it is one way or one venture that I could really tap into telling our African stories, but in such an innovative and making it more relevant in our new age. And these are just further examples of what Afrofuturism aesthetics look like. And you can clearly obviously see also then the representation of the cultures there. And the main benefit I'd just like to highlight is the fact that with Afrofuturism, like I previously mentioned, it enables us as creatives to now reshape our African narratives. So, and the good thing with that, along with that, is the fact that in my personal view is that now the world is finally recognizing the potential of the golden narratives and the imagery in Africa that we have. And that can be seen through music and film and art and everything. And with that opportunity, it really gives us, as people here in this room, who work in the space where we are able to tell those narratives and to be able to reimagine them in a creative way, it gives us a really good chance to do so. So looking at things coming to me now, because I found actually when I was doing all this research about why it's important to tell African stories, the main themes that kind of popped up is the fact that it all emphasized that telling our stories, it reflects our past, which is important to inform for the future. So the generation to know about the people. So to digest that, what I did was, I was like, okay, I knew that it was deep, but it was really getting deep. So I was like, okay, let me just break it down to myself and digest it personally. So then I looked at myself, as KHANYA, and thank you, Mr. B, for retelling my story there. So as someone who studied at AFDA, which is a film school, which I majored in television production, and now this year doing marketing, guys, it's crazy, listen to this. I realized that growing up, I used to watch Isidingo, right? Which is people who work in a TV station. And I would naturally watch Generations. I watch Generations, which is then people who run an advertising industry. So obviously, as I'm 22 years old, I only realized this, and it's obviously subconsciously, it is the fact that I saw people that I could relate to in doing these different roles that I found interesting then. And I had the motivation to do it because I know, okay, this is being portrayed as someone that I can relate to. And that's really what drove me for my talk today, and why I really felt like it's important for us to start thinking and start conversations about this. So let's just switch things up a bit now. So that's all, it's going great, it's going great. Since I'm in the mood to play devil's advocate, I'd just like to ask one last question. By a show of hands again, who here has ever heard of this local book called Crazy? 1, 2, 3. So obviously, was there a hand this side? And 4. Thank you, sorry, Laura, I didn't see you there. So 4 people, obviously. Now, compare that to the hands that was showed up earlier, right? It's a vast difference. And to be honest, I'm not standing here, like, I'm not going to pretend like I also knew this book prior to the Black Panther's hype. But after I watched Black Panther, I kind of thought about it. I was like, wow, Black Panther is so cool. Right, I thought about it, actually, hold on, there must be also South African or African comic books or have similar relations. So just to flip the coin a bit, I just want us to also start thinking about why is it that we are able to support, when we see our cultural references coming through and played out internationally, yet, because it's the same content really, it's about superheroes, and I know not everyone is, obviously it is a niche market, so not everyone is a comic book, I'm not personally. But since I enjoyed Black Panther, it's a fact that I would enjoy the similar content. So why is it that we're not thinking about, or then coming back to relate to our own content, where to find our own superheroes? It's something I really would like for us to start thinking about. And that is what has inspired me to explore this whole notion of telling our own stories and narratives. And bringing it closer again, like relating it to film. These are all films that are killing it internationally, and they are all about our African heroes, Yet, I'm pretty sure I won't ask this time because I know it's too many questions, and yet they have not been getting the same support that they do deserve, because they're not just even random movies, they're top quality movies. So we can't say, oh no, like our film industry is behind, because they're top quality movies, and that's why they're doing well internationally. And they're about our heroes, yet we are not giving the support they rightfully deserve. So I just want to inspire you guys to just start thinking about, actually, let me start thinking about supporting our homegrown movies, because supporting our homegrown movies also means start thinking about supporting our own homegrown brands, sorry. And so, yeah, just to come to a closing, because I do feel like I've been rambling quite a lot, it's the fact that, so, to counter everything, I just want us to build momentum in telling our stories ourselves. And because, like Tina said before, representation matters. And just to really emphasize the fact that, remember, there is this new cool movement called Afrofuturism if you want to do something different and be unique in the industry. And and like Peter and I have actually emphasized this year, I really also just would like to remind you guys, let's really, really try to first understand our people so that we are able to really depict true reflections of our people. And I would just like to end off with this quote by me. I hope it's not too arrogant. Okay, so let's just... Because I didn't know how to end. Okay, guys, let me drop a line. Let's recognize and tell the narratives of the heroes in our own backyard. Thank you.